Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. So today's video is a little piece of Frozen trivia. So for all of my Frozen lovers out there, which turns out my nieces, my 2-year-old nieces, are Frozen lovers. Frozen 1, Frozen 2, and the foreseeable future of Frozen 4 through or 3 through 25. They just celebrated their 2-year birthday, and they got everything Elsa and Anna, and there's a couple Olaf thing mixed in, and it was a Frozen fest. Their cakes were Elsa Anna cakes. They actually got costumes, so they got Anna dresses, and it was just this crazy event. But I actually recently learned that a little bit of Frozen trivia. I learned that the original Frozen, Elsa was intended to be the villain. In Hannah Brencher's book, Come Matter Here, she talks about this realization of learning that Frozen was intentionally written with Elsa as the villain. And as they were trying to write music around this concept, they just kept failing. They kept struggling. They could not make it fit. And then along came Let It Go. And Let It Go changed everything about the story. That one song rewrote the entirety of the direction of this whole story. One song rewrote it all. And now everything, what was just a song became the pivotal song of the entire movie. And Hannah talks about this concept, or this idea, or this realization, I guess, that Frozen was written totally different. It had a different trajectory until Let It Go came along. And for her, that was kind of this faith realization. She said, as she's lived out her faith, and as she's lived this life, pursuing God or like experiencing God, she realized that she's kind of been told a story. Her faith journey, her faith story, up until this point was kind of written, or at least understood, with us, with you, with me, being the villain of the story. And then we needed to be redeemed in some way, like any Disney or Pixar or pretty much any film. The villain needs to be either redeemed or defeated. But along came Jesus, along came Let It Go, and it rewrote our story. It wasn't that we are actually the villain and then Jesus came along and actually fixed our story. No, it's different. Jesus came along and rewrote the entire story. He didn't fix our story, he rewrote it. They changed the whole perspective of everything, from us being the villain, which we've thought in our own lives, even if we didn't have God in our lives, that we just kind of grow up with this idea that somehow we're broken or we're never good enough. And Hannah says, no, that's not true. We are not the villain in the story. Jesus comes along and changes the whole thing. It's not necessarily then we become the hero. Now, Jesus kind of remains the hero in that story, but we are given this ability to rewrite the story and to see it so differently. If you're anything like me, we watch these movies and we've seen them over and over and over, and they start to lose their meaning, or potentially we've watched it so much that we've got this quote or this quote, we take them out of order or misapply it or whatever it is, or maybe we just it's just kind of the movie's just we've seen parts and pieces and it just doesn't quite live enough. And that's how Frozen, for me has been. I've seen it a bunch of times, and it's just kind of, I'm sure all the parents are out there like, let it go again, really? But this new piece of information changes the entire way we see the story. And so today in our faith, I want to challenge us to start looking at our story differently. Jesus didn't come along to fix us or to change us from villain to not villain. Jesus came along to rewrite the entire story. And so if you've been at this faith game a while and it just kind of feels bleh, or you maybe are missing parts and pieces, Hannah actually recommends this idea in her book where we're kind of chasing the meaning that we desire in life. She says that she had a friend challenge her to just go read the Gospels. Go read Jesus. It's almost like print the lyrics to Let It Go and read that so that you see that the song changes everything. And I think we've got enough parts and pieces of this this Bible story out of order, or we've been in it long enough that we just aren't seeing the movie the same way that it was intended to be seen, that she challenges us to go read the Gospels just straight through. Don't try to study it. Don't try to pick it apart. Don't try to find your favorite verse. Just read it straight through. And as she was talking about that in her book, she referenced the verse, and it really resonated with me. It's Mark 9:24. It's the story of Jesus healing a son of a man. A man comes forward and says, "Please, Jesus, will you heal my son?" And Jesus challenges him and said, "Do you believe that I really can do this?" It's almost like Jesus says, "Do you believe that I've rewritten the story?" And the man says, "I do believe. Please help my unbelief." And if you find yourself in that spot where this life is just kind of blah, or this life doesn't have the meaning you desire it to have, I challenge you for the month of September. We're going to come to the end of the series here pretty soon, but I challenge you for the month of September to dig into the Gospels. Pick one gospel for the first week of September, another one for the second week of September, and just dig into those and reread the lyrics to the song. Go read the story with Jesus rewriting it, not necessarily fixing you and making you not the villain any longer. This week, engage the Gospels and reread the song that's written about your life. Thanks for watching Faith in 5. If you like what you see, please like and share. If you're interested in making a donation to our ministry, please click the link below.